And Port Adelaide.
A lot has gone right for Port Adelaide this season.
Port Adelaide is revered as the fifth.
Port Adelaide's banking on
about footy is Port Adelaide.
It's Port Adelaide football.
What's going on, Port fans? Welcome back to another video on my channel. Today we're going to do a little bit different to what I've normally done. I'm introducing a new series called Talking Port Adelaide, which basically we'll just each week, or maybe even every couple of weeks, we'll just sum up, maybe talk about some of the key issues that's going about through our club as of late. We'll see what's going to happen, we'll discuss them and pull it apart. Not too long though, because I don't want to sit here and bore you guys to death, because let's be honest, I'll probably get bored myself. But without further ado, let's talk Port Adelaide. So, some of the key issues that have been surrounding this week as such, especially with our last result against Adelaide in the showdown, which we don't want to get into because I've already done that. So, but if you do want a review of that game, check it out on my channel. But yeah, some of the key topics have been going around. First of all, we'll start off with, will we make the top 8? I think we will. I think the last 3 games that we've got, Collingwood this week, the Dogs in Ballarat, and obviously Gold Coast at home for the final game. You'd probably say we need to win 2 of those 3 to keep it safe. And, you know, with 2 games at home, you'd say we should. And with our form currently, you know, showing that we can beat bottom 8 sides, but not the top 8, suggests that we should beat Collingwood and the Suns at home. And I think with a bit of motivation, we'll say, just to pump up the boys after last week. I mean, we need our leaders to stand up. And I think this game in particular against Collingwood is crucial, because obviously we need to win, to bounce back. And I think every time we've had one of these losses, we've bounced back. Poor game against Melbourne, bounced back against St Kilda. Obviously very lucky in that situation, but still, nevertheless, we won the game against Essendon, where we got absolutely thumped. We had no effort in that game whatsoever, similar to the one on Sunday. And same thing happened. We bounced back the next week. Wasn't the best win against Brisbane, but as it's shown that we gradually build our way back into the game, and we get a win on the board. And with Collingwood this week, I think that's the main thing we need to do. And I think especially since we haven't won 3 games in a row for a while, or any more than 3 games in a row since 2015, when we won the last 4. I think the best thing is to win these last 3 games, go into finals with that bit of confidence. We'll have the week off, a much needed week off, I'd say, because I think the effects of having the bye early are just creeping in a little bit. I wouldn't say as much as on the for the weekend, because we didn't even turn up. But you know, St Kilda, it wasn't a 4-quarter effort, but it wasn't a bad game we played. Melbourne, we looked sluggish and didn't turn up, and I think our form's just dropped a bit since probably the win against North Melbourne, where we looked superb, I must say. So yeah, it's difficult to see what's going to happen, but I think it needs to start this week with Collingwood, and hopefully we get the job done on Sunday afternoon. Obviously, this week is the game day village is back, so if you're heading to the game, which I hope you are, get down, game day village, get a couple of frothies in you, join fellow Port fans, and just have a nice drink before the game, because we all know what the prices are of SMA, and they're bloody expensive. So, that's basically all I have to say for that topic there. I won't be there at the game day village, because I don't drink at games, because it gets too nerve-wracking for me. And if I drink and then get nervous, horrible things will happen. So obviously, moving on from the team itself and making top 8, I think the big questions coming over the last couple of weeks, especially as we're getting into finals and the silly season, with trades and free agency and all that coming apart, and the tension is building. Coaching's coaches are starting to unravel. I'll do more of a thing after the season's done for this type of, trades and stuff, or we should target. I'll do that later on. But it's just a topic that I wanted to speak about because, we've got two, I think, players on the list that we have that need to sign, like Carl Amon. There's a few others on there. I mentioned Carr because he's one of my favourites. But, there's Jasper Pittard and Jackson Trengove, which I think are the two key ones that we need to look at. And look, out of all the halfback flankers we have, Hamish Hartlett, Broadbent, Houston, DBJ's been going through there. We've been throwing, I think we threw Boak back there at one stage during the year as well. But we've got a few halfback flankers in the team already. And I think if Pittard goes, it won't be a massive loss. I think it might hurt our structure a bit. Because he's a left footer, it gives us that freedom. And we know how left footers are unique in the game, and they seem to, be very different in terms of their technique from the right footers. And they just seem to play a little more of a freer game. And I think with our structure, that's what we need to have. So I wouldn't mind keeping Jasper on that basis. But then again, I don't really care too much if he goes. He's not one of my personal favourites. I don't think he's essential to our team anymore. I think he had a brilliant 2016. Was hard done by not to be picked in the All-Australian squad, I don't think, for last year. I think he was superb in the team that struggled most of the year. But this year he's just not been up to scratch, and he's costly turnovers at costly times. He just doesn't take the game on as much as he did, and I think that's what was separated him from the rest, is that even though he stuffed up his kicks, he still took the game on, and that's what we wanted to see. So for him, I think it wouldn't be a massive loss, but a loss that probably would dent it a little bit. I mean, we got the likes of Bonner in the SANFL who are playing quite well. He's a left footer and he debuted last year and he was really good on the halfback line. So I don't. It's who knows, when we'll get to that when silly season begins. But the other one I want to talk about quickly was Jackson Trengove. I think he'll stay. I think he's part owner in businesses throughout Adelaide. He's got his young family here, mentoring Jarman Impey, and he's never shown it. He was the first one to stay during that debacle of 2012 when we had like the Boak re-signing struggles and all that. So for me personally, I have no worries about Jackson not going. I think he'll stay. He's just Port Adelaide through and through, and I don't think he'll leave at any stage at all. Just another topic to go for to talk about that we've been probably bringing up throughout Port Adelaide groups on Facebook, and the big one's been coming up is Travis Boak. Now, positional changes, players coming in like Sam Powell-Pepper, having Wingard be more of a midfielder, Robbie Gray going forward and chipping in the midfield, it's kind of put a big question mark over where Travis Boak plays. And I think the best game he's played this year was probably the Gold Coast game. 35 possessions, kicked 3 goals or something like that, and was just superb. And I think he played more of a midfield role that day, but it was a high half forward role, the one that Chad seems to play. And it's a position that can go quiet, and I don't particularly like it for Travis. I think he's more of a wing type half forward, not so much high half forward. I don't think he can be that deep forward that Robbie Gray can be, but I think if he plays in the contest, maybe not the centre bounces, but in the contest in the forward line or high half forward, even going into defence, if he's that link up player, I think he can do that quite well, and that's where he can hit the scoreboard, get his possessions, and really set up our defence, midfield, and attack really well and help out there. And he's still got a leadership role, I think. The question is if he will be captain next year. I think we've all had different captains over the years. We obviously had Wanganeen, wow, English. Wanganeen, We had Primus. Treaders was captain, obviously injury prone, but he was still fantastic captain. Cassisi for 5 years, I think it was. 4 or 5 years. And obviously now Travis, who's our longest serving captain. And I think it's probably time to give it away. His form-wise says so, but he's still probably that leader I'd like to keep around. We obviously saw, Treaders had similar problems where he faded away with captaincy in terms of form. Was still a great leader and still stood up, but he faded with his form, and I think we're seeing that with Travis now. And once they took the captaincy off Treaders, obviously he became a phenomenon back in 2009. He kicked 50-odd goals, probably one of his better years as an AFL player, and that's 12 years into his career. So it's going to be interesting to see what Kenny does, and I think it's a question that's relevant now, not for silly season, but now, because if Travis is having this form slump that he's been in probably most of the year, bar 4, 5, 6 games, it's going to be interesting. And I think obviously Ollie Wines deserves his chance now. He's captain the team against Brisbane early in the year, did a fantastic job. So it'll be interesting to see, that's for sure. But nothing against Travis, obviously. But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see what Kenny does, what's the coaching group think, and what obviously the leadership group and the players think as well. Because if they think it's time for Travis to, move on, I think they should put it more into Travis's shoes and to see what he thinks himself. Because he's one of those people that will be honest with himself, and obviously will move it on if he wants to, what's best for the team, because he's such a team player. So, and that's shown over the last few years when he's won a few Team Man awards at the, obviously, Best and Fairest presentations over the last few years. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do for sure. The other topic I wanted to touch on before I finish this video is the next debutant. A lot of questions this week to see who's going to play. Obviously, with Kenny coming out and saying big changes are to happen. For me, I've been hearing multiple from sources, and the sources I mean Twitter, because I'm bored and at home, so I look at Twitter too much. But Todd Marshall is looking the most likely to make a debut next. I'd prefer to have Billy Frampton, because I think he's more of a built stature and he's ready-made. But that'll be interesting to see. Obviously, there'll be multiple changes this week, and just have to wait and see what happens. But I think Todd Marshall might be the one to come in, Port fans. So keep an eye out for that in selection tomorrow night. Well, that ends this edition of Talking Port Adelaide. I hope you've enjoyed it. Obviously, I've just realised while I was doing this video, by the way, Talking Port Adelaide is a rip-off for Talking Footy. I did not think that already at any stage at all until now. Literally as I pressed record on that camera right there. But yeah, if you've enjoyed it, let me know. There's a little like button there, so if you liked it, press that button there. Then that'll give me some feedback. I might do this maybe every week, maybe every couple of weeks. Obviously with the busy schedule and stuff, never know. But yeah, if you've enjoyed it, let me know. Obviously, if you are a Port Adelaide fan watching this and you have not subscribed yet, I strongly recommend that you press the subscribe button, because, I don't know, you'll see a lot of me, and if you like me, press the button. Obviously, today's Wednesday, so 8 PM Wednesdays is the Portraits Podcast. I'm on that every Wednesday, so check us out tonight. Obviously, we'll review the showdown, which no one cares about anymore, and obviously preview Collingwood this week and have a bit of fun on the way as well. So, yeah, without further ado, my name's Anthony, and obviously, go the power!